Harvey's Curbside to Go means you can experience quality anywhere. Call in and pick it up on your way home without leaving your car. No cooking, no cleaning, just dinner. Harvey's, a difference you can taste.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Love you.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather This Morning.
Well, good morning and welcome to Mississippi Live Weather This Morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon in for our meteorologist Maggie McCauley. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. I don't know about you, the dreary weather, I cannot decide how excited I am or I'm not about it. I know it feels like we're heading more into those comfy, cozy sort of months. I do like the sunshine, and I did come back from the tropics. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment in the Lopon household as far as that's concerned. I just sent my kids out the door with my wife, and they are wearing some longer sleeves because it's a little cool out there. One of the things that we are, of course, looking at here in the Room Weather Center is even cooler temperatures that are ahead within just the next couple of days. So getting ready for that transition on the way as well. Melissa, though, means business. We will look at Melissa off the top here in a moment. That Category 5 storm, 175 mile per hour winds, just going to cause massive issues for locations there in Jamaica and Cuba. Not for the lower 48. And we'll look at that latest on that briefly here in just a moment and then go a little more in depth on the tropics. Rain will impact your day today, but we're expecting it to be later in the day. So most of the day we are dry and we're cloudy and we're dreary, but we're dry. And we'll look at where the storm chances are slightly greater, maybe a few stronger thunderstorms possibility. Much cooler weather on the way by Halloween. You know, this morning we're 50s, tomorrow we're 40s, but by Halloween, it could be 30s. More on that here in just a minute. Of course, watching the tropics. This is our satellite here looking at the very latest related to Melissa. This is Melissa. Melissa is a Category 5 out of 5 storm. If you were with us last night, you know we were talking, our meteorologist Gabe Maynard and myself, about just how strong this storm is. You know, we go multiple years a lot of times without having storms as strong as Melissa is right now. 175 mile per hour winds, and again, encroaching there upon Jamaica. As we kind of look at the distance there, Jamaica for the eye, we're now only about 20 to 25 miles away from making landfall. So that will probably happen this morning with devastating consequences. I'm just checking here behind the scenes, our latest discussion with the National Hurricane Center. And, you know, 20 to 30 inches of rainfall for some sections there in Jamaica and back out toward southern Cuba. And Cuba's just off the screen here at the top there. A lot of elevation in both Cuba and Jamaica, and that's a bad thing in the case of tropical systems like this, because that means that it's just going to shred out the moisture, and you can have flooding rainfall that causes landslides, power outages for weeks. A lot of destructive weather, unfortunately, possible out of this system for locations there. For us, our rainfall obviously much more limited. Might only be talking about say an inch at most over the next couple of days, and probably closer to, say, 3/4 of an inch or so on the higher end. We'll look at where that's most likely coming up here in a couple minutes. That does start this evening, as you can see here, becoming more widespread. We're about 60% on that rain coverage by around 5 p.m. this evening. So as you do come home from work and school later today, we do expect to have a lot more rainfall than what we necessarily have out there right now. Let me fix my mouse, because my mouse, for whatever reason, the battery popped out of that, so we can go ahead and track some stuff, a little more detail here in a minute. Hey, rolling fork, we've had some cloud cover out there this morning, and certainly that is the case again for you. Good morning as we show up with the clouds back there closer to the Mississippi River. And then looks like visibility is actually pretty decent. We have some patches out there where the humidity is lower. That humidity level is at 90% there in rolling fork. Notice in Sherman, though, it's 94, and it has a little bit more of a misty sort of look. It's low clouds. We kind of come in here. We're looking southbound there in Sherman toward Magnolia Way. Looks like things are in good shape there. As I bring it in a little closer and kind of look out here on the northbound, that might just be a dirty camera more than anything else, though we do appreciate those cameras from the Mississippi Department of Transportation that we're able to utilize here. And again, appreciate the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. Kosciuszko, 100% that humidity. It does look like a little gap between the clouds there, so while it's misty, and I do see right there, if you look toward the horizon, some spots, I don't know if I can zoom that one in. I don't have that one on the zoom in, unfortunately. But I can see some spots there where it does look like it could have some patches of fog out there, but luckily it's not widespread, but it might slow down that commute a little bit. That visibility up a little bit more. Houston now to 1.4 miles. We were down there to where it was completely fogged in, at least for a moment ago there in Houston. 2 miles to visibility in Starkville. I think we showed you that camera the last half hour. Certainly some visibility issues. And coming in about 56 in Houston. It's 54 for that current temperature right now in Iuka. 56 in Vernon. 60 our warm spot in Belzona. And 58 right now in the Greenville area. Pretty common there, Cleveland, as well as Tunica and Hernando, all about 58 degrees for that temperature. Mississippi Live Weather Radar showing those showers back to the west. Again, trying to move in, associated with this low pressure center we see back toward Texas. This will have some stronger storms back there into Texas and Louisiana, but most of that activity stays back toward the west of us. And we had some stronger thunderstorms last night and yesterday, associated with our exiting storm system. Actually dropped a tornado down there toward Mexico City Beach, as we talked about during our 7 o'clock hour. But that system is on the way out, and the next one moving in will have, again, some rainfall with it for us tonight. Let's bring it in a little closer here, looking at Futurecast on kind of the wider scale. You'll notice that that has, again, the showers increasing by noontime there, closer to, say, Drew, out there toward Greenwood and Grenada. As we progress towards, say, 1 to 2 o'clock, that initial wave kind of weakens, but more showers moving in. But compare this to what we have back out there in Texas. See this line of storms we have into Texas there, how that's somewhat heavier to strong. That batch of thunderstorms there is for the most part going to be, again, below severe limits by the time it moves into most of Louisiana, but certainly once it moves into Mississippi. Still could have a couple of strong severe thunderstorms down there. And again, Jared Floyd back there toward Monroe, Louisiana, part of the National Weather Network. He'll be tracking any issues with that there as well. So if you just search Jared Floyd on Facebook, you can get the latest from him. And then looking at, again, conditions here, Nick Michaelis there back out toward Alexandria is going to be tracking any issues that they have as well. So National Weather Network has things well covered back to the west there. But for us, I expect those storms weakening a lot more by the time they move into our area. So hour by hour, rain coverage, we're about 30% at noontime, 40% by 3 p.m., 50% by 6 p.m. And those rain chances do continue into tomorrow on a fairly widespread scale as we continue to wrap in what will be mainly lighter variety rainfall, but still rainfall that extends into and through the day. Coming up here in 60 seconds, we'll look a little bit more detail at how much you could end up seeing. We're also breaking down the very latest related to Melissa, kind of a more in-depth look at the tropics as well coming up ahead as Mississippi Live Weather continues this morning from the Room to Room Weather Center. And again, appreciate the good folks at Room to Room, all of our sponsors, be it the many that you see here during our broadcast, the Eat With Us group, Tupelo Smiles, as well as Absolute Cleaning and Restoration, First Choice Bank. There's just so many folks that have stepped up to support us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Shouldn't have started listing because I'm not going to get all on the list right now. We'll try to at least verbally list more of those during our broadcast from time to time. But we appreciate all of them for supporting us. More coming up here right after this.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything. We can't even see it or notice it.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lobhon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Well, welcome back here to Mississippi Live Weather this morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. Your current time is now 7:39 a.m. and we are tracking some showers out there into Arkansas, into Oklahoma that will be moving toward us. And assuming they pick up zero additional speed, we're looking close to around 2 o'clock for the Tupelo area, Burnsville about 3 o'clock. We show Florence there by about 4:28, Blue Mountain about 1:40 or so. So you can see general time frame again, Mississippi River close to around noontime, then working east after that as we kind of clear things off here on a Mississippi Live Weather Radar. There is, I don't think, a significant severe weather risk anywhere near us necessarily. There are risks out there for locations back into Louisiana and southern Arkansas, back out here into Texas related to this. So this is our severe weather risk. As far as what type of severe weather, there is a limited tornado risk for some spots there, as well as wind. But believe it or not, hail. Actually, the greater threat out of this were largely elevated storms. You don't have to necessarily have a surface-based thunderstorm to get hail to form. They can form the elevated stuff. And that's kind of what I think largely some of these storms are going to be. So again, a bit more of a hail threat coming out of this as opposed to those other different things. Let's check out here, look at some of the satellite perspective this morning here, our rapid scan IR, and look for some of that low cloud cover. And you can kind of see some of the low clouds, certainly thicker, where we kind of show some of that darker gray showing up here. I'm going to go ahead and get this where it's more north oriented. That's one way to show this up. Let's see about visible this morning. If our visible satellite is kind of showing up, we're just starting to get toward dawn. Not quite early enough to be able to kind of get a good look at visible. Let's see if I put it on the brightest here. Because this time of day, I'm trying to see if there you go. You can start to see the little definition of the clouds. But of course, those clouds still fairly thick out there as we're awaiting dawn to take place. Tupelo right now, checking out our camera here in the Tupelo area and showing up like we are completely fogged in this morning, at least at the elevation of that camera. Let's go ahead and adjust that a little bit and see if we can actually have some kind of visibility out of this. So let's see here. Where's Tupelo? Yeah, all the way fogged in this morning. Let's look down. Again, appreciate the North Mississippi Storm Chasers for allowing us to utilize these cameras. Yeah, that's obviously the clouds have condensed a lot of water on that camera lens there as we look around. Does look like you have some visibility down closer to the surface, but that's just a sign that from time to time you're going to have some patchy fog out there, and certainly probably the case this morning that Tupelo is one of those locations. I'm going to check up the Saltillo, if you give me a second here, to check out what the cameras there end up looking like as well. Looks like we have decent visibility out of most of those, though it does look a little more foggy than most locations. Let's see, now I got to look out the window here, see if the Waupun house, it's a little misty. Not bad. Saltillo 57, temperature at this point in time. Check out our Pontotoc camera. We're kind of on fog tracker here for a moment this morning. And Pontotoc looks pretty well fogged in as well. So I think this does kind of match that visibility that we were looking at a minute as we're kind of checking for visibility at what things we're kind of looking at out there. When we go to the more intimate scans here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, though, not detecting anything of significance as far as that is concerned. I wonder if I can pull up visibility. Give me just a moment here to kind of check and see as again, still kind of learning what's easy to pull up on this. I don't think I can pull up visibility on this particular map, but we showed it a minute ago there that it's somewhat lower in some locations. One thing that we can definitely pull up and show are those temperatures. And this is one of the big changes we have going forward. Yeah, we have temperatures right now in the 50s for most locations there, close to the 60s. But yeah, there's a lot cooler air moving in from the north and west. And this is some morning time temperatures back here where you see some of the blues showing up on this map that are down there into the 30s. So that is eventually what's coming in to our area later this week, but still have some time before that gets here. As you can see, still plenty of temperatures that are milder in advance of that. Okay, so let's get you into what you need to know for your day today. Again, looking at the Airport delays brought to you by Cyber Shield Technology Solutions. No real delays out there for today. We did have some for locations back to the west of us yesterday and out down in the Florida. Those have since cleared up. And so if you're traveling around the region, no significant delays showing up, at least at this point here. And thankfully, no ground stops, which we did have a few of those for a while yesterday. Though I wouldn't be shocked if we get a little bit of a delay there out of Little Rock this morning, depending on if your travel takes you back that direction flight-wise. Here's a look at Futurecast. Again, showing those showers still west of the Mississippi River, 9 o'clock in the morning, moving their way eastwards, progress toward 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, toward noontime, and then a few moderate showers mixing in. Clearly, I think we're watching closely what's going back into Texas as well, because back there into Texas with this, notice how these storms get a little bit strong to arguably severe by around 2:30 to 3. So that's where that limited hail, wind, and tornado risk kind of develops back down here into Louisiana ahead of that. Bringing it farther ahead of that and into our area here across the northern half of Mississippi, just some lighter to moderate rainfall showing up at that point in time, and that does continue to spill into and through the area as we progress throughout the morning here. You can see looking at 5 p.m. though into the afternoon, again, still fairly widespread showers out there, heavier back toward Greenville, back toward Hollandales. So certainly if you're planning around when you need to have you might have issues today, certainly around afternoon to evening is the most likely time frame. But even then, through 7 p.m., we're not showing anything that's overly heavy on that. So normal high temperature this time of year, 72. We're clearly below that for today because that cloud cover limits how far temperatures increase. I still show 70 potentially there in Greenwood or Kosciuszko or Belzona. That might be pushing it a little bit on those temperatures, but we are starting fairly mild. That's only about 10 to 12 degrees from where we're at right now. So that's a reasonable increase for a day like today. Now notice by 9 p.m., a couple little bits of the darker orange and red start showing up on some of these showers, and a greater quantity of those have that by around midnight or so. I mentioned a minute ago those elevated storms. It's not impossible to get one or two little hailstones out of this. I think that's probably the exception to the rule as opposed to what we can expect, but not an impossibility. More than anything, this is moderate rainfall and probably our peak time frame to pick up some decent rain out of this. So again, overnight, there will be some rumbles. These storms should, for the most part, be well below severe limits, and you can see they do continue to kind of weaken as they move toward the north and east with more moderate rainfall. Corinth stretching back toward around Columbus here as we look toward around the early morning time period for your Wednesday. We do get some drier air by around this time tomorrow morning, but still some spots dealing with the rainfall, probably extending that morning commute. Here's one of the headlines. Looking at low temperatures for early morning on your Wednesday, they are not going to be warm, are they? We expect it to probably be where it feels rather chilly. Now, obviously, we're not to the freezing point, and this is, as crazy as it might seem, are normal for this time of year. Come in 47, we typically would expect. Certainly not necessarily what I think a lot of folks are thinking we'd expect, but 48 there in Tupelo, coming around 47 degrees or so there for Boonville, for Iuka. So that's our normal. That's what we should expect, and so we'll be closer to that as we go into and through your day on your Wednesday here. Behind the scenes, I'm adjusting my precipitation, my chances for precipitation on Wednesday. I'm taking them up a little bit more. Here's why. As we look at the rainfall with this system and how it kind of rotates in, well, we do get a little bit of a gap here early Wednesday. Our L, the low pressure you see moving in kind of back from the north and west here, that's settling in. By the way, we should talk about what the purple line is in here. We don't talk about these fronts very often. They're going to show up on our maps here on Mississippi Live, whether they didn't at the TV station. So let's talk about it. This is what's called an occluded front. And this is where cold air kind of catches up with the warm air. There's maybe not as much of a big temperature contrast. We're largely cooler for your Wednesday and the middle part of this week just because we have cloud cover and showers around, and so that limits it, and cold air aloft mixing in. So it's not necessarily a true blast of colder air or cold front, but it is a little bit cooler because of that fact. And so we continue to have, again, some of those showers around as you progress throughout your Wednesday, continuing to wrap in. Now, notice as we bring it in here a little closer again, this is all pretty light stuff. This is not heavy rainfall. This is lighter variety rainfall, but it's fairly widespread. So that's why I'm increasing that coverage, despite the fact that impact-wise, as far as accumulations are concerned, it's not going to be a ton. But we'll continue to have, again, those light rainfall chances continuing there through afternoon on your Wednesday. So rainfall amounts. And I don't know why this graphic wants to loop on me. Let's see if it's going to stay. Third time's a charm. It did it. It stayed. Okay, so this is, as you can see, the rainfall amounts we're looking at on this. A fairly widespread amounts in excess of 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. I think some isolated spots, an inch and a quarter possible in the pockets with thunderstorms, but fairly widespread 3/4 inch rainfall amounts, 1/2 inch rainfall. Listen, this isn't drought busting, but at least we're making a little bit of a difference. Certainly we need that. And then high temperatures on your Wednesday, middle 50s to lower 50s out there. I mean, the normal this time of year is 71, so we're still way below that as far as high temperatures on Wednesday are concerned. Here's a look at that 7-day forecast. Again, I had to take that rain coverage up, kind of looking at this data, up to 50% coverage for Wednesday, but you can see how even on the icon there, it's spotty. It's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's lighter. It's more likely for today and especially tonight and the overnight hours to be heavier. But 40s for low temperatures Wednesday, we're mid 40s for Thursday, and yeah, by Halloween, upper 30s for some lows. It's going to be legitimately kind of chilly out there for low temperatures by early Friday morning. I think for your trick-or-treating forecast for Friday afternoon, and honestly, if it were afternoon, we'd be mid 60s. But by evening, we're 50s probably by the time a lot of people are out there, maybe even into the lower 50s for some spots. By the conclusion of trick-or-treating. So it's going to be kind of chilly. At least it's dry, but it's going to be kind of chilly out there for trick-or-treating. Still 40 for that low temperature on Saturday morning. And as we, again, Saturday is the beginning of November, roll into a new month. Certainly these kind of match, I guess, the mood you would expect out of November. Normal low this time of year, about 48. We're going to be obviously a little bit cooler than that. And that normal high, nowhere near that anytime soon. Gabe and I were joking last night about when were the 80s back. Not anytime soon. Kind of looking at this. Of course, big headline this morning is Melissa. And Melissa is this major hurricane you see down there south of Jamaica. And this is just a very, very bad storm. There's just no two ways about it, unfortunately. Bringing it a little bit closer here, as you can see the system, this is, I believe, a 24-hour loop here, as you see it kind of head back to the northwest and then eventually now to the northeast. So really, what we have, a big trough of low pressure. It's kind of stalled this out, stopped this system, and now it's beginning to lift more northward there toward Jamaica and eventually out toward Cuba. It is a strong storm. It is a Category 5 out of 5 hurricane. We're again watching the tropics with this storm. As of the 7 a.m. advisory coming in, 175 mile per hour sustained winds. That's an important factor here. Not just wind gusts, but constant at that level. This is an extremely strong and deadly, in all likelihood, hurricane that we're dealing with here based on kind of the latest updates, unfortunately, on this. Key messages on this. First off, widespread infrastructure damage likely out of this. I'm reading this right from the National Hurricane Center, by the way. Destructive winds and then catastrophic flash flooding to go along with landslides. We're talking Jamaica, obviously, now moving into Cuba and eventually the Bahamas. So let's look at the track of this system as it continues to kind of move to the north and east. Again, Category 5 strength still at midday today as it makes landfall there in Jamaica, as you can see through the latter part of this morning. Then moving up toward Cuba, still Category 4 storm, which is catastrophic sort of damage in its own right. Weakening to Category 2, but still significant as it moves through the Bahamas through the day on your Wednesday. And then out there closer to, that would be, I believe that's, why am I thinking Fiji? Bermuda, as you'll note there, still probably a 90 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane as we go into your Friday over top of Bermuda. And then weakening to a lower end hurricane still by Saturday But this is a very, very strong system. I mentioned it last half hour, 901 millibars. Anytime you're in the 800s, that's just extreme at an extreme level. 901 is extremely low pressure rating on it, and a sign that it remains extremely significant. And then eventually in the North Atlantic, heading back out there toward basically England as you look toward the extended. Now, when we talk about hurricane, one thing to keep in mind is the hurricane force winds on these storms tend to be concentrated pretty close to the center here, but we're just about the point where those hurricane force winds are about to cross there into locations around Jamaica. And then here's kind of the track on where the hurricane force winds have been on it over the last few days. The other factor, again, the waves. One of the things that, and again, inland flooding, the storm surge related to these systems, always a significant impact. The waves on this expected, again, to be extreme. We're talking more 20, 30-foot waves estimated here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar with this system as it makes landfall. So storm surge flooding obviously could be significant, but at the same time, you have more topography there. So that's why, again, the flash flooding and those sorts of things become bigger impacts related to this system. So certainly watching things very, very closely as it continues working its way into and through locations there. Kind of a scary situation. Behind the scenes here, I'm going to check and see what we have. Folks, James Bishop there with North Mississippi Storm Chasers, appreciate him. Going to feel great Friday night. As long as the kids are bundled up, I do think, again, that forecast, not terrible as far as trick-or-treating is concerned. I'll bring that forecast again back up here. Let's look at that 7-day here for a moment. And let's see, everyone talking hello this morning in Walnut and Corinth. Good to talk to you this morning. Glad to see you. And appreciate everyone for liking and subscribing. What happened here? Did I auto check? Did I auto spell? Did I mess up my name on it? Update tiles, Maggye. That looks right. I might have messed it up on my Facebook post. Looks like I spelled Maggye right. Someone was mentioned Maggye on there. They must have misspelled Maggye. I got it. Well, it's easy enough that it could have been me as well. Hello, Lori and Laura, for watching us on Facebook. Hopefully you're doing all right today. Any questions for y'all before we kind of wrap things up this morning? I know we don't have a ton of folks online with us still at this time, but kind of checking to see. Appreciate y'all and Dennis as we look ahead. I'll see if I have a graphic specific for trick-or-treating. Let's see if I can pull it up. So give me a second here. HAL. Let's see if... And I believe this should be updated. Let's double check here. See if that's up to date. No, that doesn't have the whole thing on there yet. But that gets you an idea. It's not going to be a particularly warm day. I had the Halloween forecast in here last night. Looks like I didn't update it in my show this morning. That's okay. Let's see if Sweet Potato Festival's in here, because that's one thing. Yeah, let's pull that up. We have the Sweet Potato Festival coming up this weekend in Vardaman. For y'all that are interested in one of the biggest festivals we have around the region. It's the 52nd Annual Sweet Potato Festival. Looking good as far as that's concerned. 40s we show at 6 a.m. there, maybe a little bit cooler than that. For some spots there around Vardaman, but that northeast wind, a little bit of a cool factor to it. We expect to have the sunshine probably break out there on Saturday as well. I think those temperatures are a little low. Let me double check this. Why is this not working in? This is why you shouldn't just live on air with this system. Let me double check here, make sure this is all coded correctly. That's November. Nope, hold on. That is set for... Let's hard code that for November 1st. There we are. Save. And now that should be correct. Let's try again. Voila! There we go. Okay. Anyway, so your forecast for the Sweet Potato Festival looking dry at the very least, and a little bit of cloud cover. Those winds not terribly breezy, But yeah, 48, kind of a cool beginning of the day. So you'll definitely want to bundle up with that extra layer if you're heading out there at Sweet Potato Festival. So good morning, Arnita there as well. Northeast. Hey, Northeast got a big game this week as well. I'm going to see if we can try to make it out to that Northeast football game. Hold on a second. Let me double check. They are playing, where are they at? It's alumni night. And that's the reason we're going to try to see if we can make it out for alumni night. Now, what it's going to come down to is our Friday night football game of the week. I was debating this before we went on the air. And I'll be honest, I haven't 100% decided on our options on this. So I'm going to have to send something out to Maggye here in a minute to double check. But our options as they stand right now, I think we have East Webster. Hold on. Okay. East Webster and Eupora, Saltillo at Center Hill. Those are our Friday options. The issue is that we have trick-or-treating on Friday. Do we kick this up to Thursday? That's what I'm debating. If we did Thursday, we're looking at Moorville, Shannon, East Union, Water Valley, TCPS, Smithville. I don't know. We might put that to a vote on whether it's a Thursday or a Friday game this week that we're going to for Friday for our. I guess I've kind of called it the Friday Night Football game of the week. It's just the game of the week. I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. It's 8 o'clock, y'all, and I'm just blabbering. So let's go ahead and give you one more rehash of this so we can start this over again here real quick. So your rehash on your weather right now for just a moment here. Cool temperatures on the way in back from the north and west. Northeast got a big game. That's the headline that got me on that tangent there for a moment. 30s back to the north and west. So much colder temperatures are eventually on the way in. It's not going to take a whole lot longer for that to be the case. But we are watching some rainfall back to the north and west. And this rainfall will move in later on today and bring with it a chance for some showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms as we go into the overnight hours. Severe weather risk, though, that is back for locations into Arkansas, Louisiana, and back into Texas, and a non-issue as far as we are concerned here in Mississippi. So definitely working our way toward a drier direction. Showed you that Sweet Potato Festival forecast, but instead let's get you your hour by hour to kind of wrap up the rest of today as we look ahead toward that first 12 hours here. And we'll kind of send you on your way after that. So today, rain chances on the increase in kind of a big way. 40% coverage by 3 p.m., 50% by 6 p.m., and continuing into the overnight hours. Mid-60s for highs, below the low 70s we should be for this time of year, but only 50s for highs for tomorrow. So definitely working our way back toward a cooler pattern as far as that is concerned. Again, our next live broadcast here, scheduled for tonight at 5 p.m. That's going to be all Gabe. I did morning show, and clearly I'm already loopy, so we'll hand that one over to Gabe for tonight at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. He'll be looking at the rainfall out there. Hey, and listen, if there's any thunderstorms, he's got that here in the Room to Room Weather Center. You can always track those in the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all of those various devices that you would like to watch it on, including Roku. Don't forget about that. If you're one of those folks that likes watching us on TV, on just, watching on television sets just better for you, Roku is the way to do that. We have Apple TV app as well, so you can watch it in either of those. But thanks for watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather this morning here from the Room to Room Weather Center. Appreciate all of our sponsors. They keep you here for the latest.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.